Colts Nation, if helmets or helmet accessories interest you, make sure to go to greengridiron.com and use code INDSYN at checkout to get the discount code with it. Whether it's mini helmets, full-size helmets, visors, clips, whatever it may be, different face masks, different variations of helmets, alternate helmets, whatever the case, you can get it at Green Gridiron. And again, that's code INDSYN at checkout for the discount. Thanks for stopping by for another video, and now let's get into it. What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today we're just going to go ahead. We're going to skip the post-game talk because who cares? We're out of the playoffs. Slim chances going in. We lost to the Giants. The bigger story coming out of this is the obvious need, and I mean the obvious need, that we got to be able to move on from Chris Ballard and from Gus Bradley. And this one, man, like when you think about how low we've been as Colts fans, right? Luck, first of all, we get rid of Peyton, and then we win 2 games. And then Luck comes in and immediately takes a terrible team to the playoffs, and he's supposed to be the savior, and we just never build around him, right? Grigson and the front office never build around him. And the story is what the story is. Andrew Luck retires after, I mean, a magical run at the midpoint to the end of that 2018 season, going to Houston on the road in the playoffs, winning 21-0, before getting bounced in the playoffs, and then retires in the preseason in 2019. And it's just from that point on, what we've been through as Colts fans. From what it was, the standard was so high. And of course, in my lifetime, like when I was born and until I was, 5, 6 years old, Colts were still a joke. So I guess we're reverting back to those ways. When you don't have a Peyton Manning in the building and Andrew Luck in the building, you revert back to those ways. And I think this year was a big year for Anthony and his development, and that's a different conversation. But we need somebody in the building to be that leader. We need somebody, right? Peyton was the guy. We need somebody to just step up, hold everybody accountable. Right when Bruce Arians was interim head coach, he was that guy, right? We need people in the building that can motivate, and that can get the best out of everybody and put the players in the best situation, put the best players in the building. And that's what this comes down to, is when you watch the Colts, it's just, I've defended the Colts for so long. I've defended Ballard. I tried to defend Gus for a long time. And that's just been worse and worse over time, and I stopped defending him a while back. But just overall, with the way everything has gone, with the way today went against the Giants, it is unacceptable from the defense. The worst team in the league, 2 wins. The worst team in the league has looked unoperationable, so much so that the quarterback they paid $40+ million to, they just said, nah, you're not getting it done. Get out of the building. Their team and their offense specifically has been that bad. We knew their defense, they got some guys on that defense. It could be a tough day in different regards. But to give up 45 points is crazy. My prediction was 45-6 Colts, with the assumption Anthony Richardson was going to play. Now, if Anthony Richardson plays, I do think the game goes differently. I think we score more points. I think they score less points because Joe Flacco throws that interception to start the game. We have a turnover on downs. Both of those in Giants territory, right? And then when you go past that, it's all the different mistakes that we made, the drop balls that would have been first downs, the penalties that we had at different moments. Like everything we did in this game was just specifically on the defensive side of the ball. It was just, hey, let's let the Giants do whatever they want. I mean, classic Gus Bradley. When you think about the Gus Bradley, predictable Gus Bradley defense, right? You think about it, and everything we saw today is the perfect explanation of just that. And I think it's evident, and it's crazy. All the different chats that I'm in where I talk to other people about football and whatnot, all different chats that I'm in, all were saying the same thing. When the Giants scored that last touchdown, when they scored, a lot of my chats started blowing up. Man, the Colts, ruining a lot of parlays. because the Giants were supposed to be tanking. So everybody just assumed the Colts were going to win this game. And at the end of the day, man, they came in, got smacked in the mouth by a terrible team. And that defense with a couple of dogs, and I mean, the leader of that defense, or one of the leaders of that defense, Zaire Franklin, on his podcast every week, talking about, hey, don't be playing with my name. Hey, well, you should probably, I mean, we got to figure something out, bro. We got to play better. What's going on? And at some point, and not to attack, players individually, coaches. I think obviously the scheme is an issue. What we do on defense is a massive issue, but offensively, defensively, special teams. I think special teams coaches also revamped our special teams since Bubba Ventrone left. So much worse, and it's only been since this guy that Steichen brought in. Get him out of the building. He just doesn't get the job done. Our special teams is a liability. Defense, clear liability. And we'll see about Steichen. I've been saying he's going to stick around. I don't know if that's going to be the case. When you really look at it and who's out there, right? Like, think about, that's going to be a different conversation, different video. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to hold my tongue on that. Make sure you subscribe with notifications on. We have more conversations coming up. I have a lot of thoughts after this game, okay? I'm tired of feeling the wrath of Colts fans or fearing the wrath of Colts fans in the comment section. Try not to ruffle feathers, but there are some things I've been thinking about, things that I held off on. I want to see how the season played out. What happened? Did we figure anything out and get better? There's a lot of things that I'm tired of sugarcoating. A lot of things that I've been playing close to the vest and not really being completely honest with myself. But just looking at it, it's time to be honest. It's time to be honest. We haven't been in the playoffs in a long time. We haven't won the division in a long time. And we regressed from last year to this year. And we got to figure it out. We can't keep doing this. We have 41 free agents coming up, which is why I still think best time to get rid of Chris Ballard. The players that he's put on this, he goes for character guys, which is incredible. We have a locker room, 70 guys that are just good human beings. And there's nothing wrong with that until it comes time to perform on the field. The problem with that is that, like, traditionally, like, the nice guys are always going to be a little softer. So you want players to have that edge to them, right? And to be to just have, you just know they got something different about them, right? And we just don't have that. We have a bunch of nice guys, which again is great. It's great that they're great human beings. They do a lot for their families and their communities and the places that came from. And so, of course, you appreciate them there. You appreciate everything that they put into it and put on the field. But in terms of what I grew up watching, the standard of football that I grew up watching every Sunday, because I was a Colts fan, I got to watch us play every week. Right? For me, it was national TV every week because I lived in Indy. I got to watch the Colts every week, and it was just incredible football. And not every week was perfect. The Colts lost in there, but we had the winningest decade of all time, bro. I saw a lot of good football and how it's supposed to operate and what it's supposed to look like, and it hasn't looked like that in a long time. And Pat McAfee was right. Pat McAfee was right about everything. The people on this team are soft. In terms of playing football, I'm not. Listen, I mean, I'm 6'5", 265. Like, I could put on pads. Yeah, I'll hold my own. These guys are professionals at it. Don't get me wrong. I can hold my own. I'm not just going to back down on that. But you're right. These guys are professional athletes. I don't want to demean them in that right. But when you just look at it, like the collection of talent that Chris Ballard has on this team, it's just not the right collection. And these guys, when it comes time, you got to have it. You can't depend on them. And that's just one thing that's been evident with this team that Chris Ballard has continued to try to rebuild and win with, right? He feels an emotional connection to win with these guys. So he keeps re-signing them and keeps bringing them back. And There's just nothing different, man. It's just the same stuff year after year. Our record depends on our schedule. We'll beat bad teams and occasionally lose lose to a bad team like the Giants, and then we'll lose to the good teams, and occasionally we'll beat one of the good teams, right? And it's just nothing changes. We're not at a place where we're going to compete for anything, and we just the philosophy has to change. The philosophy has to change. We had videos during the bye week about what I think needed to change, and it's all those things and more. Chris Ballard gone, Gus Bradley gone. Some of these veteran players that have no guaranteed money this year, bye. Like all these 41 free agents. Like if none of them came back, cool, man, bye. Get 41 new bodies in, practice squad included. 41 of them. Who cares? Mediocrity has to stop. Like as Colts fans, we've been loud year to year, and it's only time. It's just time to amplify it. It's time to amplify that however we have to, because we just can't keep operating the same way. We can't keep sitting here saying, yeah, it's okay for us to make these mistakes because we have all this talent on us and we can make up for it as long as Anthony Richardson saves the day, which is what he's been doing. Think about the games Anthony hasn't played this year. How pathetic have we looked without Anthony? Even the games that we've lost, there have been a couple of bad games for Anthony. This hasn't been like Anthony. Every win we have was Anthony carrying us to the win. But when you think about it and you look at our win-loss with and without Anthony this year, we're clearly better without Anthony. A couple games, he actually carried us to wins, right? Like I'm telling you, you give Anthony, which Anthony shouldn't play next week. That's another video. Shut him down. No reason for him to play next week either. You just go ahead, have him go into an offseason healthy so he can work on him and be the best version of him that he could possibly be, no matter what happens. New front office, new coaching staff completely. Whatever the case is, a bunch of new players. Just have him go work on him, worry about him until April. We don't need to hear, actually, May. That's when minicamp starts. We don't need to hear from Anthony till April, bro, or until May, bro. So, just go have him healthy, working on everything that he needs to, and revamp everything in the meantime. Build this thing around your quarterback in the meantime. Right, you got to. And the wide receivers is another conversation, man. Like drop passes, tight ends, we got to get a better one. We got to get one. Again, preferably Tyler Warren. And if we lose next week, and again, that's another reason you keep Anthony out. If we lose next week, the higher we go in the draft board, the better chance it is we get Tyler Warren. We were at 15 and we missed out on Brock Bowers. He just set the single season receptions record for a rookie, not just tight end, just rookies in general. So incredible season by him, even on a bad team. But it's clearly something we're missing. We got to get a star at tight end. He's a freak, 6'6", just a massive body, good run blocker, a solid base to be good at blocking, and he can also make plays in the pass game. Just got to get him, maybe a little more pliability, but really like Tyler Warren, a little all-around game from him, and hope we can get him. But the wide receivers are a question too. Everything on this team is a question except for Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. Like those two, Jonathan Taylor proved time and time again and continues to that he's the guy. It was tough for a lot of the game against the Giants, but there were different times where he found a way and he was making great jump cuts. And when there was going to be, at the line of scrimmage or minus a yard and he gets, 4 or 5 yards out of it because of a good jump cut or a good move, a good cut, whatever it was. Jonathan Taylor is in his bag. And right now it's obvious the impact that Anthony Richardson has on the game, and his development is the key to our future. And so I think that's going to be the big thing. I don't know. I think before the game happened, there was an article came out today, and everybody was like, okay, so Ballard, Steichen, Richardson, we're going 2025 with all of them and seeing what happens next year with whatever they do with the team. But after today, I would imagine a lot of that's being rethought. I'm going to imagine that there are conversations that are going to be had when you put up a performance like that against the actual worst team in the NFL. Um, Defense giving up 45 points. You can't do it anymore. That's what they always had to fall back on. We don't give up points. That's what Gus Bradley and Shane Steichen were saying about halfway through the season. Hey, I know teams are getting yards and da 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 and da da da, but we don't give up points. And they were like 16th in the NFL, which is mid. And now, just giving up a bunch of points every week. It's just it's clearly not working. The players clearly aren't working. The coaching clearly isn't working. It all needs to change. We've put off a full rebuild for a long time, and now's the time. 41 free agents. I will continue to talk about it. There are 41 out of 70 players that are going to be free agents. Rebuild writes itself. A new GM, new coaches with the quarterback you're building around. This is the offseason. And I know exactly who I want. We're going to have videos on it. I don't know if I'll put those out before the game. We're going to have different content. Of course, New Year's is coming up. I'm going to get as much content to you guys as possible. Life getting busy right now, especially specifically at the day job. So I'm going to get as much to you as I possibly can. But with that said, I'd of course love to know what your thoughts are on all this. You let me know down in the comment section, please. Love to hear from you guys and where you're at with all this. Just a lot coming out of that game with the Giants for a non-Colts fan, and it was probably really exciting for all NFL fans everywhere except for Colts fans because it's the Giants. Like the Giants putting up 45 on you, so not enjoyable. But you let me know your thoughts on this whole conversation and everything I said down in the comment section. Love to hear from you guys, and of course, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime there are any more videos coming out on this channel. We'll be live for the game this weekend. I assume it's Sunday 1 o'clock. If it is, we'll be live for it. If it's Saturday, plan probably changes there, to be completely honest with you. But as long as it's Sunday, we'll be live for it, and we're gonna have more content throughout this week, and more content, of course, after the season is over next Sunday. So plenty of content to come. Hope you join me, and of course, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.